Okay, so I'm recording. So we are gonna do, I have the PowerPoint ready, but I want you to go to this folder. Here you have all the information we're gonna be using today. So yeah, copy paste it in your own folder. If you wanna change something, you will change it in yours. You see data, the data edges and nodes. Hey Lynn, we just started.
Okay, thank you.
You have the data here and here. I changed the name of 4 columns. So if you have this data from last time, just be sure that for this R code, you have this new data. The names are the same, but the names of the columns within the data, they're a bit different because I thought it was more intuitive. So once that you're there, I just want you to install some packages, and then I will start with the PowerPoint to give you an introduction of what we are seeing today. And if you go to, I have here open the full one, but you should open the no solution one. So here at the beginning, you're gonna have, you can see that I put a lot of different libraries, but you only have installed a few of them. I think you have Tidyverse already. So if you call Tidyverse, it's gonna run fine. But probably if you run this one, library raster, you're gonna get an error as the one that I have here. There is no package called raster. This is because I never installed the package raster in this computer. So it's telling me I have to do it before I call the library. So the way I do it, that I find it quick, I just go to packages here, install, and I write the name of the package. So raster, this one. So I click on it and I say install, and this is gonna download it from the website, from the cloud, and now it is downloaded into my computer. And now if I call the library, okay, it's give me a little problem, error, package SP required. Okay, so let's see if we can download the package SP. Okay, so I go to install and I write down SP, and there is a package here that is called SP. So I click on it and I install it. Okay, so let's see. Failed. Interesting. Do you have the same error, or
No, I think mine worked okay.
your worked?
I think when you
So no one had a problem? Maybe that's why. Interesting, because the other ones, but continue with the other ones, and then while you're doing your first exercise, I'm going to try to solve that. So I'm going to install iGraph as well. Okay, this is interesting because in my office it works okay, and for you it works. Yeah, so I'll try again later. So I'm downloading the package iGraph. Okay, so if I load the package iGraph, it should be okay, perfect. Now the same for this one, rgdal, that one, install. Yeah, so I have the same problem with SP, I don't know why. So what it's doing, you see, it still has that problem with SP, so it's giving me problems, and it's trying to download. It says, okay, I'm gonna try this website here, and let's see what happens. So finally, it downloaded successfully. So now I call the library, and I still need SP. Okay, I'll sort that later. Library graphics. Okay, let's see if there's a package called graphics. Oh, there is not a package called graphics. So what I do is, like, I know I want to call that library, but the package doesn't have that phone number, that name. So I can go to Google and I say package for library graphics in R. Graphics package. So it seems so our graphics package, so it should be graphics. Can you download it?
It doesn't show up.
Okay, let's see.
Like when you down.
One of the other ones.
I think I already have it.
Okay, so maybe it was let's see what happens if I call library graphics. Okay, yeah, you're right, Moniz. So probably one of the other libraries, I don't know if it will be Tidyverse or iGraphs, when you call them and download them, they also download other packages. So that's one, probably has a different name. So it's already included. Perfect. So we don't have to install a package for that. So what about maps? Let me see if I can call it. Okay, no, it's not there. So we have to install it. So I go to install maps, that one. So I click enter. I want to install that one. Yay. And now I call it. Okay. So we have this done, okay? So at least we downloaded all the packages, which is something that you're going to have to do only once, okay? From now on in this computer, every time you open R or RStudio, you just call these libraries directly, okay? You don't have to download the package. I wanted to do it here with you so you would see how I do it, but I had that little problem. We'll have to fix it. So I'm going to jump to the PowerPoint real quick. And what we are going to do today, we're going to work a little bit with ggplot. And I'm going to start with some basics on ggplot, some essentials. And then if we have time, we have all the material ready for start mapping a network. Okay, I know we haven't seen many things about networks yet, but I wanted to start with the visualization, which is nicer. And next week, we will go with the hardcore theory. So ggplot is one of the 4 main graphical systems that we have in R. We have worked a little bit with base. For example, I think we did a histogram, so that will be our base. And then there are grid, lattice, and ggplot. I think I use lattice sometimes, and ggplot and base mainly. It was created by this guy here, who's also the creator of Tidyverse. So a very interesting guy. You can see a lot of talks. Interesting. He explains things really well, and he has this mind that he created all these things. So there are a lot of talks of him that he gives in YouTube and other websites. And this package is based on an idea that this other guy had in something that he wrote this book called Grammar of Graphics. So the idea is kind of like what we've gone through in Tidyverse. So you go little by little, you add blocks to your code, and each block is like a different step that does something different to finally create your plot. I think it's relatively easy to create graphs with it. The problem that it has is like it's quite slower than base R. So there are things that I do in base R that take like nothing, like a nanosecond. And the same thing with ggplot, it takes longer. But the good thing is like you can customize your graphs a lot, and they usually look better than just basic R. So the idea is we're going to create a plot. We're going to use some data, some aesthetics, some geometry, and coordinates. We're going to see what this is. These are the main components of a plot that we're going to be creating with ggplot. The data is the data frame that we are working with. Okay. Aesthetics, it's we use it to talk about the x and the y variables in a plot. Okay, so the x is the horizontal line, the y is the vertical line, and also with this we can control the color, the size, the shape of whatever we are plotting. Maybe a box plot, or maybe a point, or maybe bars, anything. So the color and the size and the shape of those points, whatever it is, can be controlled through this piece of argument here. The geometry is going to be, you're going to define the geometry explaining, you're going to use geometry to explain what you want to see in that plot. You want to see a histogram, you want to see a box plot, you want to see a line, okay, all the different things you want to see. And then the coordinates, we don't always write it down. I actually only write coordinates when I'm working with spatial data, like on a map, for example, but the coordinates are always there. If you have a plot, you have coordinates. And for example, the central point of the plot will have a coordinate. Imagine if our axes are from 0 to 1. So the central point, the coordinate will be 0.5 for the x's and 0.5 for the y's. Okay, so every plot has a coordinate, but maybe we don't always use them. What we're going to see in R, this thing here, we're going to code it on something similar like this. We're going to have a plot that if you want to create, if you want to create an object, you use this little assign thingy. You don't have to, okay? You're going to start with ggplot, calling the function ggplot. Then you open parentheses, and inside that first parenthesis, you're going to write down your data and the aesthetics that you want. Okay, this is one step. You're going to then add the sign plus. And then you're going to talk about the geometry. So you're going to say what I want. I want a box plot, or I want a line, or I want points, whatever. And then you're going to add another plus sign, and you're going to add coordinates if you want to, depending on what you're doing. With ggplot, this package is actually called ggplot2. We had ggplot was the first version. ggplot2 is the one that is more advanced, which is the one that we are using. We have two ways of plotting. We can use the function qplot, which stands for quick plot. It's very similar to base R, but this is not what we're going to do today. We're going to be working with ggplot function, okay? This one here. So let's go to the R code. Sam, when you open your computer, you're going to have to install some packages here, okay? I had some problems with this one because there's a package within it that is called SP that I was not able to download in this computer. I don't know why, but they didn't have any problem, and I didn't have any problem in my office neither, so I need to check. So for the time being, I want you to set your working directory and do the first two exercises, okay? You've done this before. You're just going to upload the data. I want you to look at it again, and on the meantime, I'm going to try to solve this problem. Thank you. Okay, so we had a problem. My computer was the only one who could not install the raster package, because it seemed that I was missing, for some reason, when you install raster, the computer should be able to download the package SP as well, and for some reason my computer was not being able to download it. So what we do, there is another option. So what I would first do, I go to Google and I Google download package, either SP or raster, whichever you want, and then you see this page here. So you go, this one is raster, so you go to downloads, and I download the compressed file, this one, directly from their website, because what RStudio is doing, what you're doing, they install, is automatically coming to this website and downloading it. So if it doesn't work automatically, you have to do it by hand. So you come here, you download it. So I downloaded it, and I had this one and this one are the ones that I downloaded. So what I tried, then you go to install, and by default you have install from the repository CRAN, which is like, this means that it's going to go online, and it's going to take the package and it's going to download it for you. But if that's not working, you change it to package archive file, and it's going to ask you, okay, where, well, usually you go there and you click browse, and it's going to ask you, where do you want to go and retrieve that. So when I was trying to take the ones that I downloaded manually from the internet, I don't know why it still was not working. Okay, so I received these messages here. I got this one, I got this one here. So it was not working. So what I asked is to send, I asked Moniz, or yeah, it was Moniz, to send me the folder that she had, the package that she had downloaded from the web, that you can find it in here. Okay, so this is where all your packages are being downloaded in your computer. So Moniz went to this side in her own computer. She took that folder and she sent it to me, and once I had it, she sent it to me here. This was the folder that she gave me. Then I have to zip it, and I compressed it here, and once it's there, I went to install, take it from a folder that I have, take this one here, and I click open, and then I click install. Okay, so that was the SP package. Now I have the SP package in my computer, and now I can install. So I tried calling the raster, and it said, whoops, I don't know what raster is. It's like, oh yes, I forgot to install it. So now I install the package raster, and it seemed it was installed successfully because I already have the package SP because Moniz gave it to me. Okay, so now if I load the library raster, it should work fine. Perfect. Okay, so this usually should not happen, but I'm kind of happy that it happened because you saw how I fixed the problem. Okay, we lost a lot of time, but at least, yeah, Sam.
So I'm having the same problem.
Okay.
But I didn't follow exactly everything you just said.
Okay, so I'm gonna keep going, and when we have the next exercise, I'll go and help you.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, so Sam has the same problem, and I just really don't understand why some of us do, some of us don't. Because it's not even a conflict between packages. It's simply that it's not downloaded from the web, which might be some restriction that the CDPH has, but it doesn't make sense that some of you can and some of us cannot. And I could in my own desktop in my office. But anyway, we all set up our working directory, okay? And did you loaded the files? Edge data final and node data final? Okay, remember to grab the stickers, red, problems, green, you are done, okay? So what I did, I loaded my nodes data file like this, okay? Read underscore CSV, and remember I did this copy paste and I changed the ones that I wanted as factors, so I did it directly because I know it, but you can do step by step. Okay, any questions here because I skipped a step? Okay, so we run that one, we have nodes there, and I want to look at, these are the typical ones I look at. Structure, okay, it gives you a structure of what we have. Okay, data frame, 40 observations, 40 rows, 7 variables. This is how they are. Perfect. These are factors. Great. Then I look at the first 6 rows, and for that I use the function head. So I look at it, it has been read correctly, and I have an idea of how my data looks like. Do you remember why we don't see anything else here in latitude and longitude? Usually these are long numbers, but I don't have them really long here. So do you remember why this is happening? This is because Tidyverse decides that the output that is going to show to you, the visual output, is going to make this, if the numbers are really long, it's going to make them shorter. So because it thinks that you don't care about very small orders of magnitude, like very small decimal points, Tidyverse thinks you don't care, so it doesn't show it to you, but the data is still there. So do not panic, the data is there, and all the numbers are stored. It's just that it's not showing them fully to you, so it's okay. I do summary nodes, okay, and with this I can look for the numeric variables. I can get this minimum, maximum, the quartiles, the mean, da da da. For factors, it will show the first few levels of the factors, and it will tell me how many observations I have with that level of the factor. And also, if I had any NA values, I will be able to see them. For example, here I think I will have some NA. So you will be able to explore a little bit and see a little bit. Not fully, but already here it can give you an idea. This is the dimensions, okay, so 40 rows and 7 columns. And this summary SNA nodes is really going to tell me if I have any NA values for each of the variables I have. So summary can give you an idea, but if you, summary nodes give you an idea, but if you really want to know, do the summary of SNA nodes. I am not doing SNA nodes alone, because if I do, this is what I get. So I want a summary of this. I did exactly the same thing with edge, okay? You had some more time to look at it. I'm going to skip through it because of time, okay? Perfect. So now this function here is a new function. I don't pay too much attention to it. It's just so we can continue with our data. What it's doing, this is from the package raster, actually, the one I was having problems with. So, Sam, you won't be able to run this line of code yet.
Oh, I was able to.
Ah, you did? So you solved it?
Yeah, I just went into
Okay.
the folder. And
Perfect, thank you.
I still don't understand how you got SB stuff.
Okay, so I'll go back and I'll tell you. So I use point distance. What it's saying is like, well, you can always check, okay? And you're going to get this R language thing that you might or might not understand a single word of what it's saying. But basically what it's saying is calculating a distance between 2 points that I'm giving it. Okay? So what I'm going to give is I'm giving this here, and then another line that is very, very similar down here. So if you look at the head of edges, we see that we have longitude and latitude of origin. Okay, we are working with the data edges. I assume we remember what it is. It's the, so we're working with the farms. We have the nodes that are the farms, and the edges is the transactions of peaks between one farm to another. So every edges table, remember, you're going to have an origin and a destination, and those should be the first 2 columns, origin and destination. If you want to create a network, you need those. You can, if you want to plot the network, you're going to need the longitude and the latitude variables for the origin node, which is this one, Brandon, and then the longitude and the destination variables of the destination node. So in this case, the first row will be for this INI. Okay? So these are the longitude and latitude for Brandon, and these ones are for INI. Okay? So what we are doing here, SymBind, is putting together, we can see what this is doing. So I just copy this, and what I'm going to do, this is control copy. I go to the console and I say head, because I want to explore the first 6 lines of what this thing that I'm going to create. Okay, so what it's doing, it's taking the first, the longitude and the latitude columns of origin, and is putting them together. So cbind is combining columns, okay? It's binding different columns. We have rbind is to combine rows. Cbind is to combine columns. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to measure the distance from whichever point in the map this is, from the origin, to whichever point in the map this is for destination. So basically it's measuring how many meters, because this is going to be meters, because I'm talking about longitude and latitude, so that's meters. Is measuring the distance between those 2 points, between those 2 nodes, between those 2 farms. And for our own case, like when we are working with our project, it will be measuring the distance between 2 facilities. Okay, and this is a straight line. Straight line, but depending on this geographic coordinate system. which is if you know some spatial some spatial analysis, or if you ever work with spatial data, there are different ways that you can see or plot a map, because the Earth is round and we are plotting a map usually in 2D. So there are different projections that you can see the map with, and that will change a little bit how you see it. Sometimes you've seen these maps that are a little bit rounded, others that are really flat, and if you see California in different maps, the shape of California is kind of the same, but it's always a bit different. Sometimes it's really elongated, sometimes it's really wide. So this is because it depends on the projection you are visualizing your map. But that's a bit more special thing. So what I'm doing here, when I do this, I create a row that is called dist, like for distance. Okay, so this is a vector. I want to see the beginning of this, and I'm gonna see the 21st elements. Okay, so it's a vector with the differences, the distance between point A and point B. Okay, point A the origin to point B the destination. So I know this is in meters because we were working with longitude and latitude. So if I divide it by 1,000, I'm gonna get the distance in kilometers. Okay, so I run that one, and now I'm gonna add this vector as a column to my data set edges. So if I look at edges right now, I see it like that. Okay, it has those 7 columns, 1 2 3 4 5 6 what 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Okay, let's see. Yeah, because this is 10. Okay, wait. 2 more variables. So this is dplyr, because my window was really small. Remember I mentioned this last time? My window here was very small, so it didn't have space to plot it. So it said, hey, you have 2 more. But if I open it a lot and I run the same thing again, now I see them. Okay, now I have 10 here, 10 columns. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna add that vector in a new column in edges that is gonna be called distance kilometer. Okay, so if I run this and now I run head edges again, I can see that we added that new column. Okay, any questions here? Okay, so let's start using ggplot. If you remember, I say, okay, we're going to use ggplot function, then we're going to have some data, and in our case now we're going to be playing with edges, and then we're going to have aesthetics. Aesthetics are going to be the x and the y axis. So for the x, I want the month of the transaction. For the y, I want the number of pics that were transferred during that month. Okay, if I run only this, I get, so you see here it automatically goes to plots tab, and I get the layout. Okay, February, December, November, September. Okay, this is, I have all the months here. It's a little bit messy. We'll see how to fix it later. This is the layout. Now if I want to do something to it, I need to add the geom part of my code. Okay, so this here is exactly the same as what we have already run. Then I add the plus sign, and then you can continue the code here in this line. Okay, I just like going down one line every time I write the plus, so I can visualize it better and I know what I'm doing. So I'm gonna add points. I want my data to be represented by points, so I write down geom underscore point. If I run this is what I'm getting. Okay, so we have one transaction in February that had very few peaks, I don't know, maybe 2. Then I had several that were around 100. I had another one that maybe had 100, 113, something like that. Okay, so this is what we're seeing now. This will be the same as writing the data first, okay, using one of those pipes, and then say, okay, do ggplot aesthetics plus geom. What I've done here is like these data edges, I've taken it out. okay, and I put it up here and use a pipe sign. This is another way of doing it, and if you run it, you're getting exactly the same thing. We are not going to be using this, okay, because this is mixing ggplot and tidyverse, and although the grammar is very similar and the idea is the same, this can be confusing, and people don't use this. So if you are going to Dr. Google to look for information on how to work with this, you're going to see it like this, okay? One thing that you might also see, I'm just copy pasting this, and we will see it like that. You can see the same thing but without that data, okay? That data equals is only for you to know which argument you are using for this specific object, but you don't need it. If I run this, I get exactly the same thing, and my code looks a little bit maybe simpler because I just moved a piece of code that I didn't need to have there. So what I do at the beginning when I'm working with a new function, I usually leave this type of arguments there. The same with AX. So here I could have done the same thing with this, okay? If I run this, this is totally equivalent to this thing here. But at the beginning, I like writing those things down so I know where I am and I know what these things are. Okay, that's totally up to you. So now I'm going to add some color. So we have here the data, so ggplot, data, aesthetics, okay? And within aesthetics, I'm going to add this thing here, color equals origin type. Origin type, if you remember, is one of the variables we have in the edges data frame, and is the type of farm of origin. Okay, so a big farm or a small farm. So for us it will be like acute health hospital or a skilled nurse facility, something like that, okay, of the origin node. And I want to put some color in it. Then I add the plus sign and I put the geom points. I'm still going to see the points, but I'm going to have them with color. I'm not specifying the color, so the color is going to be chosen automatically for me. You can specify the color if you want, okay? This is just automatically. So if you see the farms, we have farm and market as origin. And the market we already see it's not in many places. Yeah, most of them are going to be farm. Okay. I have a note here that says that this aesthetics, because I'm writing it down in the first line of code here, is going to be applied for. Right now we only have one function here, but we can keep adding, and we are going to keep adding. So if I write down this color here, it's going to be applied to everything. I could also take this, the aesthetics, okay? I just cut it, come here, and put it inside. If I do this, I run it, I'm going to get exactly the same thing. So right now it doesn't seem that it's a big change, but if you are having different functions here, it's going to make a difference, okay? So take that into account. Now what I'm going to do, I'm doing Control Z right now. I want to leave it as it was before. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to jitter those points. These points are really on top of each other. I cannot see really well what is there. So I want to jitter them a little bit. I want to move them around. So now instead of writing down geom point, I'm writing down geom jitter. And I'm adding a new argument that is 0.2. Now I want you to run this and change this number here and see what happens. So 0.2, change it a little bit. It dispersed the points a little bit. This is still February, but they're a bit dispersed. Okay. So if I say with 0.1, we see that they jittered a little bit. They moved, but not much. If I write down 0.5, it's super confusing because right now I don't even know which one is February, which one is March. So I actually like 0.2. Okay? Any questions? So what if instead of dots, because this dots for this plot I think is not the best way of visualizing, what if I want to do a box plot? Easy. I write down the same thing here, okay? Plus geom underscore box plot. So if I run it, I get a box plot. Okay, if you can see, we are, let me make this bigger. If you want to make it super big, you can click zoom and you have a new window opening, and zoom is here. Okay, so I have in February a box plot for farms and market, because these are the different origin types. So we are basically stratifying by type here, okay, by origin type. But we can see that market really is like this. I don't know if this is 0 or is like super small. So I don't like to see it like this. I think it's still not very good, this plot. So I want you to, and this is exercise 1.3. I want you to create a box plot of number of pigs per month, but do not stratify by origin type. Okay? Once you finish that, go for exercise 1.4. Okay, so do 1.3 and 1.4. Okay, so we go. So I ask you to create a box plot. Okay, so I go to the full one so I don't have to do it. So we write down this. We have the data. I didn't write data, but we know this is the data. And then we have the statics. And then I'm going to say plus geom box plot. If I just do that and I don't say any color or origin type or anything like that, this is what I get. Okay, so we have a box plot for each of the months. For the other one, I asked you to take that box plot you created, so this one here, and then I want you to superpose data points. So how do we do this? So we have this, you can do copy paste, and we are here again. Then I add plus geom point. Okay, so if you look at the plot tab here, the window, I run it, and you see the box plots, and on top of that you can also see the geom points. Okay, so here we have the data displayed in two different ways, one over the other. So these are like layers. The first one happens first, the second one happens second. It's the same type of thinking with tidyverse. You have to be very careful with your order, because what you write first is whatever is going to happen first. So for example, let's go here. What I did here in these 3 lines, that is different from this one that is highlighted, I flipped the order and I wrote down the points before the box plot. So if I do that, we can see that the layer that is underneath is the points, and the box plot has been plotted on top of it. Okay, this is not what I asked, but I ran it so you could see. So if we want to save the object, we can create a new object, like for example this one. If we want to save the plot, sorry, and we assigned a plot to it. So here what I did it in 2 steps. So first I have these 2 lines here, which are the same as what I have here before. If I run it, you can see just the box plot. So I create an object called initial box plot. Okay, and then you can call that object, which means all this, plus geom point. So if I run this, we get exactly the same as this one here. Okay, do you see it? Any questions? Okay, so let's keep adding more and more things. If I want to put color per month, I need to use fill within the statics argument, okay, because this is still. So I have the data, I have the statics argument, wait, don't do that, okay. I want the box plot filled by months and my geom points. And this doesn't work. Okay, so why not? Month not found, interesting. Error in layers. So it's telling me I need data, and I need mapping, I need start, I need geom. What is this trying to tell me? This is typical R thing that it's a bit complicated to understand. So data is the data that we saw. The mapping is going to be the statics that we have. The stats is going to be well, the stats and the geom, sometimes they go together. It's going to be the geom that we've seen. And it's telling me that something's wrong in this sense. Yeah?
You need to specify the data.
If I can what, sorry?
Specify the data before month or no?
Specify the data. Yeah, that's a good idea because it's saying I don't find month. So, okay, so you need the data. So the data is edges. Okay, no, still not there, but we are close. So what we need data and we need statics, and I have field here, but I don't have the word aesthetics. So it doesn't really know what aesthetics mean, what field means. It needs the aesthetics thing. So let's see what happens if I do this and then I close the parentheses. It's upset with me now. Okay, so it still doesn't like it, but now it gives me a different error. Maybe I'm closer, maybe not. So mapping, so the aesthetics must be created by aesthetic, but I just did. So what's happening here? Let's look at the aesthetic. Okay, so I think what I'm missing is this part. The aesthetics needs an X and a Y argument, and I am not giving it to it. Let's see if I run this. Still not working. Why not? Okay, let's see. If this is, it has the tidyverse way of thinking, like the grammars are very similar. The first thing we do with tidyverse is the first thing that we do with ggplot is provide the data. Let's say take the data and then do all these things. So right now, I think I'm providing the data too many times. I'm providing the data at the beginning, as I should do, but then I'm providing it again. Maybe this is confusing.
What if
Yeah.
What if you put the cell equal month in the first statement?
Okay.
Yes.
Let's
And then
try.
and then just have geom box plot empty.
Okay, perfect. So Moniz is saying, let's leave this empty and put field here inside the aesthetic argument. Yay! It works. Perfect. We have the data. We have the aesthetics with the X and Y that we need. And then we are adding these extra field months. We have the box plot and we have the GM box, the points. Perfect. So it's coloring the box plot according to the month. I have another one here. ggplot.h, so data. Aesthetics without field. And in GM box, I put all the aesthetics. Let's see if this works. Yay! It's exactly the same thing, but not really. It's very similar. The output is the same, but what is the difference between this and this? The difference is like in this first line, I'm already saying everything that happens later on is going to have the field months. Okay? Here, no. Here, I say, okay, I'm giving you the data and the aesthetics with the XY, which is what I need to give you. But then I want you to color the box plot with the month. Anything that comes later on, I don't want you to put any color on it. Thinking like this, I would have expected then that geom point will be with colors. So I would have expected that the points in February will be also colored by red. However, geom point has its own color argument, which is color that we saw above. Okay? Here. We have it here. Color is going to be for the point. So if we have, let me take this. I paste it there. I'm going to put this color. I'm cutting it. I'm going to put it here. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to put geom point. Do you follow? So I have the data, the aesthetics, and the geom point with color. Will this run? Okay, no. Why? Because I still need to give it the whole aesthetic thing. So aesthetics, X and Y, which I need, and color. Oops. So you see this plus sign? This means that R is waiting for something else. I also have an X here. It's telling me expected, comma, after expression and match, opening bracket. Okay, so, and match opening bracket, that is my problem. I need two, I only did one. So what I do, I go to console, I click X, and then I get out of there. Okay, so now I'm ready to write anything I want in the console. I close this bracket, and then now the error is not there anymore. So I'm happy with that. I run it, and this is what I was expecting, which is what we ran before. I have a color according to origin type, and the color is automatically selected, but I could have selected any color I wanted. Okay, so it's a little bit of a mess, and you need to understand when it's giving you an error, the errors are not always very intuitive, so you need to try all those different things. But remember what Monique said, we were here, when we put this, whatever we put in the first line is going to be applied to everything. Geom point is an exception because it's a bit different, but usually everything that I put underneath is going to be with field equal month. So if I only want to do the box plot like that, I will put the aesthetic argument within box plot. Okay?
Just a quick,
Yeah.
I think I don't have one of these tabs here. No.
I've been writing it. I think this one is extra. That's what you mean, or?
No, that
Which?
one I have, just the one with the geo point color, or you just wrote that? Did you just write that?
Yeah, I just wrote it. The geom point color.
Yeah.
I went up here, and I just wrote it. Yeah, I took it here. This one. I just made it up, but it's very, very similar to what you had here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I just changed this, and I put it inside geom point with the X and the Y.
Yeah, I don't think
No, this you don't have it because I just typed it.
in the add color too, in the jitter those points.
Yeah, this is from a little bit above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is at the beginning.
In the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm going up and down, and yeah. It's like 5 seconds you don't look at the screen, and I'm like 100 lines.
No, sorry.
Sorry for that. Oh, good. I'm happy that you asked.
You may have said this earlier, but you said we can make the colors anything we want. How would we specify?
Okay, because ggplot is huge, and I'm only bringing a few examples, I will refer you to this website.
Okay.
It's really, really, really good, and you can find plenty of examples of how you can tune it and change it, and okay, it's really good. For example, if you want to go to dot points, you click here, and it will open a whole new vignette, and you have all the examples with the output, how you can change it. Okay, it's just like it's so huge that I don't want to go into every little specific because there are many, but it's a great tool, and the documentation is really good as well. So we're gonna go here. We're in color per month. Okay, the line might be a bit different because I added some lines, so maybe you're in somewhere else. So now we are gonna. No, we just did this. Okay, so now instead of a box plot, we're gonna do a bar chart. So here now I changed to bar chart, and bar needs this specific thing here, stat identity. You can look for different arguments If you just either Google this or look for help for this, you will see there are many other things we can do. If you say stat identity, what it's gonna do is gonna count the number of pigs per month, okay? So it's gonna give you a count. So this is the count, the total amount of pigs per month. So this is in February, the total amount of pigs that were transferred are 2,000. And that's why we need this. Again, in the documentation, you can see that you can change this for other things, and then instead of having a count, you can have a different measure.
So the term identity
yeah. Identities, like you're gonna have each of them, and then you're gonna, each of them is gonna count one. Okay. We can do the search and everything, but I think I'm gonna keep forward because of time, if that's okay. So as we mentioned, the months here are not ordered, so I wanna order them. So what I do, first of all, I look at the levels of my months. These are the levels, and they're definitely not in order. So if I wanna order them, this is something that we saw the first class, so I don't expect you to remember. But we are gonna have edges month as a factor, and the levels are gonna be in this order. This is the order I want. Okay, so if I run this and I assign that value to the column month, so I'm overriding what I have right now, but only by changing the order of the factor. If I run levels again, now it's gonna give them to me in the order that I specified. Okay, so if I try again the same thing, this one here that I tried before, that gave me this non-order plot, I run it now that I have ordered the levels of my variable, we get what we wanted from January to December. Okay, so you can see, for example, that there is a seasonal pattern. And there are many things that we can do. One of them, here I'm introducing the coordinates. Coordinate underscore. I'm going to say flip it. So this is exactly the same code as I had before. And I'm adding the plus sign, and then the coordinates flip. If I do that, the coordinates are flipped, and now I have the bar chart in a different way. If we want to try another coordinate underscore, and again, all of these things, you can find it in those websites that I gave you in the reference list at the end of the PowerPoint. You can go there and you will see a lot of different things, especially this website that I gave you. So here I'm doing the same. I have the data, I have X and Y. I'm going to do geom stat identity, and I'm going to say coordinate polar theta X. If I run this, I get a different plot, very different plot. Okay, so these are the coordinates polar, so it's like seen from the polar side of the earth. And I want to add some color to it, so I'm going to add the color in the first row, and I'm going to say field month. That's the only little piece of code that I change. If I run it, we get something like this. Okay, so there are many things we can do. For example, if we want to add a title, I just write GG title, and in quotes the title of my plot. Okay, if I write down this argument here, \n, this acts as enter. So this is the same, but I'm doing that, and then I'm saying per month. So if I run it, look at the plot here. It goes down a line as if I had clicked enter, and it says per month. Okay? If we want to remove redundant axis labels, this is the same as we had before, but then I add labels. For X and Y is going to be null. So if you look at the plot, number of pigs a month disappear because I don't need that. Similar with remove background color, we have this one here. This one, you can imagine, I don't know them by heart at all. I just go to the website and check what I want to do, and then I apply it. Okay? And we can do many other things. As you can see here, I can tilt the months, I can change the font, I can make the axes disappear, like the lines, okay? Many things. As I mentioned before, you can create an object, okay? That is going to be plot 1. Nothing happens. I look at the class, so it's a GG or ggplot. And then I call the plot, and it's here. So this is just like I stored the object. And we saw this already. I can call the object and then add an extra little thing that I wanted. Okay, and it's the same as if I had run all that code. So maybe if you know that you're going to work with a specific base plot all the time, you can just create an object from it and then add little arguments. Okay, so there's one exercise, and then I want you to have a break, or you can have a break and then do the exercise. Okay, 1.5, and this is the end of chunk 1. So that's what I wanted you to do. I gave you that image. So the code that I did is this one here, okay? So I'm creating an object that is called plot2, and I have ggplot. Well, I'm gonna have in general, I'm gonna have the box plot and jitter. Geom jitter is like geom points, but it's just jittering the points. So it could have been called geom points jitter, but they call it geom jitter. But I don't need another geom point here, because geom jitter it's already giving me points, okay? So I have ggplot, I have the data edges, I have the aesthetics, and then I say, okay, give me a box plot that is going to be empty, okay? And then I'm going to do the geom jitter with the aesthetics of x and y, because I need the aesthetics x and y. Every time I use aesthetics, and I need them because I want to do the color, every time I use the aesthetics, I need the x and y. Then I say color by origin type and separate the points by this amount. Okay, if I run this, well, first I run this, I created the object. Now I am calling the object, and it's showing me this. Okay, so some of the things that I've seen that you've done, well, this is another example. For example, yeah, this is something I think that maybe Connie was doing. I think you put, maybe this is not what you were doing. Well, you could put the color here at the beginning, the first line. Okay, if I do this, it's going to affect everything. It's going to affect the box plot, and it's going to affect the jitter. So if I run this, I will have something like this. Okay, so what it's doing here, it's applying, it's stratifying, it's categorizing by origin type, and giving a different color for each origin type for everything, for everything that is coming under, like, later on. And we have the box plot, so the box plot is going to be stratified by origin type, and we have the points, geom jitter, that is going to also be stratified by geom points. But if you look here, we want the data points to be stratified, but not the box plots. Okay, so in order to get this plot, which is the one that I wanted, I need to do something like this. Do we have any questions? Or anything that you've done, you tried, you couldn't do it, you don't understand why it didn't work? Okay, so I keep going. We have 5 minutes. Let's see where we go. We're going to start plotting. Well, one more thing. If you see here, the points and the box plot, we have some points that seem that are duplicated. Okay, here there's actually only one point that has this value, but because we're overlapping plots, these are the outliers of the box plot, and these are the points of the jitter. But this should only be one, and I have 2 points here. So you need to be very careful with your plots. And what you can do when you are creating the box plot, inside that line of box plot, you can specify remove the outliers. Okay, here So you need to either Google it or go to the website I said, but there you could say remove outliers, so you wouldn't see these two dots, and then you will only see the red ones. Okay? So now to plot in a map, if we want to plot something in a map, we need something like a shape file. Okay? If you are not familiar with it, let me know and we can talk about it later. But we need the map, basically. So I downloaded it from the website, and there's a website like Diva GIS website where I download a lot of my shape files, and it's in the folder with all the documentation today. It's this one. This is Thailand, because I did this data set. We created it for Thailand, this workshop we had in Thailand. So, which was a bit different, but yeah, the data is the same. So I'm using this function. Don't worry about it too much now. This is more spatial R. We can look at it like at another time or in private if you want. I'm calling this function, and here I am placing the location of my shape file folder. Okay, this is mine, yours will be different. Very similar to your working directory if you have that folder where I had it. So you just have to add probably this little bit to your working directory. And then if you run this, interesting. Does your work? Okay, I didn't load it. So you see, I didn't load the package, I only installed it. So it says, I cannot find that function. And I say, wait a minute, did I load it? And I didn't. So hopefully now it will work. No. Interesting. So I'm gonna see, this is Regal. Okay. Okay, that one. And it's because this one was depending of the other one. Perfect. So do you understand what I've done? Do you understand what happened? So I tried to call the function. I thought it was from this library, but no, it's from the other one. It's from this one. And I hadn't called this library. So I called it now, and now I hope it will work. Yes. Okay, so now it loaded.
What is the library called?
The library is called RGDAL. RGDAL. So if you go to your environment and I write down Thailand, I see that I have an object that it's a large spatial polygon data frame. Okay, so that's the shapefile we just loaded to R. And by using this 45 function, what I'm doing is I'm converting it into a just simple data frame. Okay, so if I do head of Thailand 2, it's a data frame. Okay. And it has longitude, latitude, and these are other things that are coming with the data set. We're gonna only start this part, but I want you to see how I'm creating this base map. Okay, this is a base map of Thailand that I'm gonna have there, and later on I'm gonna be adding different layers with all the different things I want to plot for my network. So to create the base map, I'm calling an empty ggplot. Okay, usually I have here the data and the statics, but now I want to transfer them all to geom polygon. Okay, this is because we're working with this shapefile that it's really a polygon. So you call the geom data polygon. Then I have my data, is that new data frame that we just obtained. And the X is going to be the longitude, the Y is going to be the latitude. Okay, this one's here. Group, I'm going to write down group, because group in this specific shape file, it's going to be a different state, ¿vale? So it's going to be in different or states or counties. And then I say color gray, fill white. You can skip this. These are just to make it prettier. And then I'm adding a coordinate underscore that is coordinate map. This can be different, and you can also find it if you Google the coordinate underscore in ggplot. You can see different ways of plotting it. So if I run this one here, and I call that object.
I got the same error. Yeah, me too.
Damn it.
And it's saying I can't, it's failed when I try to install. Yeah, I think I'll have to do it says, yeah, forbidden.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it seems, so what I do here is like, okay, so let's troubleshoot this, and then we are done. No package called like this, okay, and I ask, okay, what about map project? What is this? What can I get about it? So it seems that ggplot is using it, rgdal is using it, and SPA is using it. So we should have all of those. Let me see what will happen if I do library map project. It doesn't exist. I'm gonna try packages, map project. Hey, it seems there is a package called like that. Let's try to install it. And I have the same error as before. So back to stage 1. I'm gonna do it again. So I go to Google and I say maybe download this package in R. I go to the CRAN project, downloads, and I'm gonna try this one here, release, save link as. I'm gonna save it in our folder. Okay, so it should failed, forbidden. Okay, so same as you do. Okay, so what I'm gonna do this, I guess this is a CDPH thing, but I don't understand why, because in my computer it let me do it. In my office computer.
You found a security trap.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna download it from my laptop, from home, and then I'll bring it here, and I will upload that package here, and then you will be able to run it, and then we will be ready for next time. Okay? That is a pity.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's weird, yeah.
You can download in your computer
Yeah.
here as CDPH, but
Yeah.
here.
Not here. But yeah, and it's the same at the beginning today. I couldn't do it, but you could do it with the other packages, which is
that
really
I
weird.
did at home. The SP already
Yeah.
had it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe you think if you, yeah, no. So I'll download the zipped package, and I'll put it in this folder, and then from here. But anyway, usually if you are working with within a setting that allows you to download things from other websites, you should not run into these problems. But yeah, what you can see here is like it cannot open that website. Okay, it's forbidden. So that's because of the restrictions we are having here, but usually you will be able to do it. Yeah, and if RStudio doesn't work, you should be able to download it from here. But yeah, here it says also forbidden, which it's a pity. But anyway, so good that we are finishing here, because this will give us a beautiful map of Thailand. And then the idea is like on top of this map, we will be adding points, which are going to be our nodes, and segments, which are going to be our edges. And then just by running these little few pieces of code, we will be plotting our network on a map. And that's it. And you can tweak it, and you can make it pretty, and you can add the colors, but that's basically it. I mean, you have some exercises that will make you think next time, so I'll let you plenty of time to work on those, because we're gonna be using the things that we learn from Tidyverse into this to modify the data to be able to plot it. But yeah, this is it. I'm sorry it finished like that, but yeah.